Well, we're joined on the programme now by two highly experienced royal commentators, Jenny Bond and Emily Andrews. Thank you both for joining me this evening. Jenny, you'll tell me how many years, Jenny Bond, you've been talking about royal news and royal events and, you know, a senior and highly esteemed royal correspondent. And I'm quite certain you can't have anticipated broadcasting about an event and a revelation as sad and worrying as this one.
Yeah, incredibly sad and terribly moving to watch her. And I think we should all feel terribly ashamed of ourselves. I think particularly the internet trolls should feel utterly ashamed of all they've said and the malicious rumours they've spread. Now they know what she's been going through and her young family have been going through. And I think the mainstream media has some questions to answer as well, because they followed the lead of these ridiculous rumours on social media and gave them the oxygen of publicity. All the time, that added to the strain and the hurt and the pain that this family was going through. William missed one engagement and it was headline news. You know, it was probably something to do with Catherine that day. What a strain he has been under as he carries on with his engagements around the country, cheerfully, smiling. With all this going on in the background, I think we should stop and look at ourselves and now do what this lovely woman asks very sweetly. Please give her the time and the space and the privacy which they asked for in the beginning and which we failed to give her.
Let me speak to Emily Andrews about this. Emily, you have spent time in Kate's company. You've spent quite a lot of time in the company of Prince William. This will have come as a huge shock to you. I can see by your face that you look very shocked and upset to hear this news, just as everybody else does. I wonder whether you think that there is a chance that they will be now left alone to come to terms with what's going on, for Kate to complete her chemotherapy, complete the course, and for them to make a recovery as a family and deal with this together without intrusion and without speculation and without inappropriate pictures being published in the foreign press and that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that when the palace make an announcement, or when anyone, frankly, in the public eye makes an announcement like this, that they have cancer, that kind of, you know, it is a complete game changer, because, you know, they should absolutely be protected. They should be allowed to recover in private. I think it will stop all the horrific speculation. Yeah, and I agree with Jenny, actually. I think it's the first time, and I'm sure she's probably the same, the first time in my royal reporting that I have seen this insidious creep from social media to be reported in the mainstream media. Yes, that partly can be explained by the absence of information from Kensington Palace and not kind of taking that control of that narrative. But I just wanted to pick up on something that Isabella Nafia said. The whole way that this has been handled, because they both said that kind of Kate had been hung out to dry when she took responsibility for that picture. The whole way that this has been handled has been totally down to what William and Catherine have wanted. So the reason that Kensington Palace haven't put out any information is because that's what William and Catherine wanted. They wanted to protect their children. The reason that Catherine made that very public apology was because I understand she was incredibly upset by what happened with the picture. She just didn't think, and it would cause such a kerfuffle about the Photoshop, and she was devastated. And she didn't want any member of her team, you know, who they all get on with very well. It's a small team for such a, you know, big role. She didn't want any member of her staff to take the rap for what she saw was her failure. And that's why she said what she did. This video, yeah, you're right, Vanessa. I was quite shocked when I saw it. She doesn't look very well. That's quite understandable if you're obviously undergoing chemotherapy. And I think all of us, our hearts will just go out to her and William and her 3 children, because I'm the similar age to Kate. She's 42. I've got young children. Having to explain to George 10, Charlotte 8 and Louis 5, as she said, in kind of age appropriate language for all those 3 children, that mummy's not very well, that mummy's got cancer. What does that mean? Mummy's got to have this treatment. It's going to mean that mummy's going to be quite sick. That's very, very difficult. Yeah, very emotional.
Yes, and Jenny, this idea of, you know, the royal family needing to be seen, to be believed. I mean, I don't know whether there's ever been another occasion really where the sort of pressure on somebody to be seen at the most delicate, fragile, difficult time of their life, with just embarking on chemotherapy while recovering from major abdominal surgery, you know, what a difficult pressure to put on a young woman, and you know how I think how gracefully she has risen to that pressure, and how charmingly really she's spoken about what she's going through. And I don't think, I mean, you would know much better than I, but I don't think she's the kind of person or personality who naturally would disclose those sorts of very private details about herself. She's not a Fergie kind of character. She's not somebody who likes to, you know, chat away about her own private life and her own failings and foibles. That's not really Catherine, is it? She's much more reserved than that. So this must have been an ordeal to add to all the other ordeals.
Yeah, I think she must feel assaulted from all sides now. I mean, most lately, the allegations that someone's actually, or several people, allegedly have been trying to access her medical records at the hospital where she was treated. She must feel, well, it makes me think back to Diana, the last Princess of Wales, and the things she used to tell me. She felt she was raped, was the word she used, by all the cameras that were pointed in her direction constantly. She stood up and asked for time and space because of her mental strength at that time and her mental health. She asked for time and space. She didn't really get it. We have to listen this time. This Princess of Wales has specifically broadcast asking us for time, space and privacy. We have to listen.
In the past, Emily, we have sometimes given the royal family privacy when they have asked for it, haven't we? For example, you know, Prince William's school days, lots of his university life. There have been occasions when the press pack and the media as a whole have backed off and have sort of done a deal and understood why it's important, just to give these people, they're human beings, time to be people without being goldfish in a bowl speculated about and looked at all the time. And actually, there are various paragraphs from Prince Harry's book Spare, which in the light of Kate's statement, sitting there, as you quite rightly say, looking pale and frail on a bench and yet having to make a statement, do sort of resonate somewhat about, you know, feeling in this way so exposed, you know, so looked at, so with so many requirements made of you the whole time. Is it likely, do you think, that the press, the media and these ghastly internet trolls might just back off now and take the hint?
Well, I think in terms of privacy, actually, the last 10 years has seen a complete sea change in the way that kind of off-duty royal information is reported, and certainly with photographs. When Prince George was born, Kensington Palace made, and Prince William and Princess Catherine made it their absolute priority to sort of set a standard whereby no pictures of their children would ever be published, or indeed they tried to stop the market so that they wouldn't even be taken unless there were pictures published by them or taken by them or provided by them. And this has happened, I mean, through a number of different ways, through very stiff legal letters, through charming newspaper editors, through appeals privately. You know, this is our family time, this is our children. You never ever see a picture of George, Charlotte or Louis unless it is at a public engagement like we saw earlier when they were at that scout engagement with William and Kate last year, or if it's or a still picture that normally Kate has taken herself. So actually the lives of the young royals have been incredibly protected. Equally, I can't remember the last time I've seen a picture of Kate or William out and about. That video at the farm shop this week obviously was sort of slightly different because of everything that's sort of happened before. I think Kensington Palace, whilst they emphasise the couple's privacy, I think because of everything that happened, they weren't going to push the newspapers not to publish it. So yes, in answer to your question, I think that they will be left alone. And I think also the other thing to bear in mind is that the community of Windsor, the community of Anmer in Norfolk, where they also have a house, the community around Balmoral or Burke Hall or even Highgrove. I don't think they will go to Highgrove, that's Charles's house, but you know, wherever they might be spending the Easter holidays, they will be assured of privacy because those communities protect William and Catherine. They don't talk about them, they don't photograph them, people don't whip out their mobile phone. When they are in Norfolk, they go to the beach, they, you know, sail in their private boat, they go and do lots and lots of different things, and we never ever see or hear about it because people give them the respect and the privacy that they deserve. And I think obviously now Catherine's come out and told us that she's suffering from cancer, and she said herself, please, I need time to really focus on my recovery. I hope, and I think that everybody will listen. Social media, I don't think people will on social media. So I think, as Jenny quite rightly says, it's for us responsible journalists to effectively ignore what's being said now there and just focus on what Kensington Palace are telling us, because we have a role here too to reassure the public. And as Kate has told us herself, she's doing well, and it's for us to ignore social media too.
Let me give Jenny Bond some new information, Jenny, which has just been relayed to me, and that is several things, actually. The first is there's a message from King Charles, and it's a message from Buckingham Palace, and it simply says, King Charles is proud of Kate for her courage in speaking as he did, and no father-in-law could understand or empathise more deeply with what his daughter-in-law is going through than the King, could they?
No, they're very close, Catherine and Charles, and I think his admiration for her has increased over the years. And I think, yes, they will be comforting one another through this difficult time they're both enduring, and it will bring them even closer together. I think that's a lovely message from the King, and you have to feel also, I think, for Camilla, you know, because she's known all this time what's going on, both with her husband and with Catherine, and she's been out and about all over the place, all over the country, and over to Northern Ireland, working hard, working cheerfully, carrying on. The whole family has been under such intense pressure and such intense scrutiny. I just think we must now show them the kindness and compassion and privacy that they deserve.
Thank you very much indeed to Jenny and to Emily. And I have more information to share with you, which is this. We've been told William will carry out engagements after Easter when the children return to school. He's going to continue to balance to support his wife and family and work at the same time. And the Princess, it says here, will return to official duties when she is cleared to do so. So Isabel, you know, they're just trying to navigate their way through this, aren't they?
I mean, look, you can't possibly give a time frame for when she can come back to work. How can she know? How can her medical team know? There are so many imponderables here. You know, chemotherapy is utterly brutal. We know that. Even once you come through the other side, it takes your body a long time to build up again. She is very, very slight. So, look, I think we should have no expectations whatsoever.
No, and Kevin, it does make really Camilla's, you know, zealous efforts all over the place. I mean, only yesterday she was joshing with that sweet little baby Fitzwilliam in Northern Ireland and being really humorous and lovely about taking home all that gorgeous meat from that fabulous organic butcher's, and she was taking it home for the King and he was going to do full justice for it. I mean, it makes her efforts even more kind of staggeringly commendable, doesn't it? She's 76 and boy, must she be worried.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, this sounds extremely crass, but this is a serious case of it never rains but it pours. Yeah. I mean, just as we're digesting the bombshell news that our new King is suffering from cancer, we then find out that our beautiful Princess Kate is suffering from cancer as well. And the way that William and the Queen, I mean, Camilla is really coming into her own, and you know, she's suffered trolling her whole life because of the Diana thing. And if people don't get behind her now, there's something wrong with her. And by the way, I really do hope that fairly soon that couple in Montecito do issue some sort of statement, because if they don't, they have no heart.
They just have to.
They have to. They must.
Have to. And I'm sure they will. And I would expect it to. It has to come out in the next 24 hours. By the way, ideally now. I mean,